Hi everyone, my name is Lauren and welcome to my channel. I'm going to be discussing media, all sorts of media from movies to TV shows to books. And today, with my first video, I'm going to be discussing my favorite version of Little Women. Yes, I know it's backwards. Oh well. Okay, this is the 1994 version. I wanted to discuss this because recently the 2019 version came out, and personally, I thought it was bad. I think that the 1994 version is the best. So, obviously, the 1994 version is very different from the 2019 version, so I'm going to be doing a lot of comparing in this video. No offense to anybody who likes the 2019 version. No offense to the actors or the director that made the 2019 version. It was beautifully made. It's just, compared to the book, the 1994 version comes the closest. So I want to start off by saying that the cast in the 1994 version was my personal favorite because Winona Ryder is great. Susan Sarandon is a very motherly figure. Claire Danes is amazing. And then Kirsten Dunst. She's just perfect to play a spunky little girl like Amy. And that was one of my biggest complaints with the 2019 version, that there were not two girls to play Amy. It didn't feel like in the 2019 version that it was 7 years ago a child Amy. It felt like a girl that looked 16 at least and was just being an immature little brat. And that's not what the director was going for, obviously, but that's what happened. So Kirsten Dunst was 12-ish when the movie came out, so she did a great job. She was perfect for the role. And yeah, I also really liked the set. They did the house perfectly, and they focused around it. I didn't like how in the 2019 version they had so many other sets. Like, it was supposed to be focused on their house, and it was in the 1994 version. And I also liked how the story was cohesive. That really threw me off when I first watched the 2019 version, how it started right smack in the middle when Joe goes to New York, because I knew what was going on because I had seen the movies before and I had read the book. But for everybody else, like my sister who had never seen it, heard of it before, she's like, what's going on? So I felt like they should have started right at Christmas time, how the book starts, and followed the story cohesively. It would have made it flow a lot better instead of a series of flashbacks, because movies with flashbacks, they don't work out very well. Hashtag Suicide Squad 2016. Anyway, I thought that the costuming in the 1994 version was my favorite out of all the ones that I watched because they were dull colors. Everybody that I know, they were like, oh, the 2019 version, I love how bright the colors are. Well, it's supposed to be the 1860s Civil War, They didn't have bright colors at the time. All the cloth and all that stuff they had went to the war efforts, so they had what was left. So the dull colors, it felt very like this is the time period and this is what we have. It made them really seem how poor they actually were. In the 2019 version, the dresses, it made it look like they were not poor and like they were pretending or something. And it's just like, no, this is not how it's supposed to work. Period. I also didn't like how Beth went to Mr. Lawrence's house to play the piano, and he was the one that found her sick. Because in the 1994 version, it had a better effect that it was Joe who found her sick, because Joe and Beth are really close. And I don't know, that whole scene in the 2019 version was very awkward. Like, it almost felt like Mr. Lawrence may have liked Beth, and that was kind of gross because she's supposed to be between the ages of 14 and 16. Like, ew. Period. So yeah, there's that. And I really wish that they had not put as much feminism in the 2019 version, because Little Women was a very feminist book, because it was the first time in the 1800s that a woman was getting published. So it was already very feminist, very centered around the girls. So I felt like they went overkill. They should have left the story as feminist as it was. And I didn't like what they did with Professor Bayer. That was awkward. I liked that in the 1994 version, they gave him more screen time and they made him better. They gave him and Job more time to have chemistry. They even shared a kiss before the very end. It made it more believable. I didn't like how they made him much younger in the 2019 version. I guess they were going for more believable, but the whole point was that he was older and wiser and that he was a good contrast to Jo. He kind of made Jo the best version of herself. He gave her the confidence to be the best version of herself because he was older. And that was what was so amazing in the 1994 version. So in the 2019 version, it just felt like they took the easy way out. They could have gone much more in depth with it, made it 10 times better, and they chose not to. Also, they did a bunch of little plays. I know they did that in the book, but in the book it also said that was a very personal thing between the girls. So it was kind of like, really? How can you say that it was personal if they did it in front of an audience? That's why I loved in the 1994 version when they freaked out when Jo brought Laurie up to the attic, because it was supposed to be just the girls, their bonding time. Nobody is supposed to see this. It's all of us wearing crazy costumes, whatever we want, and nobody's ever supposed to see. So that was kind of awkward. And then I felt like their father in the 2019 version didn't get enough screen time. The whole point, I know he's supposed to be gone, but the moment that he came back wasn't as joyous and wasn't as exciting as it could have been. One thing I did like about the 2019 version was the couple scenes that we got between Meg and Mr. Brooke after they got married. How she buys the dress and spends all that money and they're poor. I liked seeing that relationship aspect because we didn't really see as much of it in the 1994 version. So that was good. I really didn't. The biggest thing that I didn't like about the 2019 version was probably when Amy gets struck by the teacher. She goes to Mr. Lawrence and Laurie. That was totally wrong. She goes straight home. I know they didn't do it exactly right in the 1994 version, but they kept it closest to the book. She goes running to Jo. And that was good because, you see Jo and Amy fight all the time. And that was a moment when Jo and Amy are really close. And it shows their sisterly bond. So it was weird that she didn't go home, that she told the neighbors. Like, why would the neighbors care? And it doesn't matter how close you are. You go to your parents and your sisters before you go to the random neighbor that lives next door. Period. So, I don't know. And then I wish they had done more of Jo being upset that Amy had gotten struck, because that really showed that Jo had a temper in the 1994 version, and that she thought it was totally unfair that the teacher would do that. And they didn't have Marmee chiming in saying that she thought that Amy should have gotten punished, just not in that way. Because that shows her feminist side, and then it shows also that she loves Amy, but since the limes were forbidden, you gotta get punished for taking something that you're not supposed to have. Alright, that is it for this video, and I will see you guys next time.